While Novak Djokovic clinched his 400th Grand Slam victory in a match where he teetered on the brink of disqualification, Stan Wawrinka bid a final farewell to the Melbourne crowd, 11 years after his historic title run. Jannik Sinner narrowly survived a grueling encounter against Spizzirri, struggling immensely under the extreme heat in a win that sparked widespread debate. Here are the standout matches following the third round of the 2026 Australian Open. World number 2 Jannik Sinner's Australian Open title defense will continue after getting lucky. On a day where temperatures hit 100 degrees Fahrenheit, Sinner looked on the verge of an unlikely exit against American Elliot Spizzirri before being saved by the tournament's extreme heat policy early in the third set. Limping at one point as he attempted to stave off oncoming cramps in his arms and legs, Sinner went down a break at 3-1 when play was suspended for several minutes and the roof was closed on Rod Laver Arena when the so-called heat stress scale reached 5 on a scale of 5. The scale was introduced in 2019 in an attempt to minimize the risk of heat-related illnesses for both players and spectators. Upon resumption, Sinner won 5 of the next 6 games to take a 2-1 lead. After a 10-minute cooling break between the third and fourth sets followed, also a part of the extreme heat policy, and Sinner eventually completed a 4-6, 6-3, 6-4, 6-4 victory. Sinner confessed to reporters post-match that he couldn't pinpoint what has caused recurring cramping issues. He suffered similarly in a match against Holger Rune in his Melbourne title run last year, and most recently, he retired from a match against Talon Griekspoor at the ATP Masters 1000 event in Shanghai in October because of a cramping episode. At 40 years old and ranked 139th in the world, Stan Wawrinka held his own for 4 sets against one of the tour's steadiest players. With power intact and backhand as devastating as ever, the Swiss played like a top 30 contender, troubling a top 10 opponent in stretches. Taylor Fritz reaches round of 16. For his part, the world number 9, solid on serve and surgical in key moments, let the ranking logic prevail. With this 4-set victory, 7-6, 2-6, 6-4, 6-4, the American advances to his third round of 16 at the Australian Open, where Lorenzo Musetti awaits. But the match wasn't entirely his, because even in defeat, the story belonged to Wawrinka. 2014 champion, legend forever. Winner of the 2014 Australian Open, Stan Wawrinka will forever be linked to Melbourne. That title, claimed at the peak of his powers against Rafael Nadal, stands as one of modern tennis's greatest achievements. 11 years later, the Swiss played his last match on Australian soil, aware he was turning a major page in his career. Novak Djokovic reaches 400 Grand Slam wins, advances to Australian Open 4th round. Djokovic ties Federer's Melbourne record, hits 400 Grand Slam victories in win over Van de Zandschulp. A historic record, Djokovic surpasses Federer in Grand Slam consistency. But that's not all. By reaching the second week of a Grand Slam tournament for the 71st time in his career, Novak Djokovic becomes the most consistent player in tennis history at this level. Until now, Roger Federer held this record with 69 qualifications. 400 Grand Slam wins, an unprecedented feat. As if that weren't enough, the 38-year-old player has also crossed another mythical milestone: 400 Grand Slam victories, a threshold that no one else has ever reached. His toughest match of the tournament. Finally, against a tenacious Botic Van de Zandschulp, the Serb had to work hard. The third set, played until the tiebreak, showed a Novak sometimes rattled and angry.